The Sabres secure their spot in round 2 after taking down Boston in 6, putting the rest of the league on notice in the process. For whoever comes out of the East next, a house of horrors awaits in Western New York. Buffalo not just won the series, but did so with conviction, showing that they can win any way, in any place. The Sabres not only punched their ticket to the second round, but doing so with an early edge on whoever survives Sunday's Game 7 between the Bolts and the Habs. Hello and welcome. My name is Ryan Lee, and welcome to Sabres Digest. All things Buffalo Sabres will be here on Sabres Digest. Latest news, reactions, updates, and more. So follow along for the journey by hitting subscribe below. We really appreciate it, and thank you so much for watching. The first round versus Boston was about as complete of a story as you could have from the Sabres' perspective. You had crazy comebacks. You had an overtime game. You even had games that went down to the wire and ones that really allowed the penalty box to pile up by the game's end. It had a little bit of everything that you really wanted from a playoff series, especially between two longtime historic rivals like the Bruins and the Sabres. And going through the overall scoring of the game, things got started off really early, and you actually have a lot of the guys that not only have been those top guys the whole way through. Keep in mind that first goal with Dahlin, Thompson, and Tuch all getting involved, but also you had some of the guys on the back end, maybe some of the bottom six guys, some of the defensemen that you might not necessarily see expected on the scoreboard, making their contributions as well, with Mattias Samuelsson getting on the board to get that 2-0 lead, and then Zach Benson and Josh Doan hounding the puck across the entire length of the ice, and Josh Norris to just tie everything up in a bow with the empty netter. And with Josh Doan not only taking those efforts and really showing with him, Benson, and Norris how much they really evolved around their games and the roles within the system, but also how much they understand what it is they have to do to get the job done at the end of the day. And Josh Norris was no slouch throughout this entire playoff. Yes, he had games 1 and 2 where he was relatively quiet, and then you have 3 straight games where he's absent. But then you also have a game like Game 6 where Josh Norris makes a huge impact throughout the entire game. Something that a lot of Sabres fans were very curious. Could he actually pull it off? Could he make something work in this series if he were to go back in the lineup for Noah Ostlund? People thought that he had to look over his shoulder with Konsta Helenius in the mix from the AHL. But I think Friday showed that Norris might be the ideal replacement for a guy like Noah Ostlund, especially when you break down some of the analytical numbers of what the Sabres did. This is the expected goals in Game 6 by player, and you can see Josh Norris had a higher XG by himself than anyone on the entire Bruins roster. You have to go through Alex Tuch, who is third on the list, for any one Bruin to even match what the Sabres did on Friday night. And it talks about the overall effort that the Sabres have done, how much everyone is really embracing what they do for the team, and how dangerous these guys really are. I think Josh Norris proved that at the very least. He might not be one of your top guys like your Thompsons and your Tuchs, and Peyton Krebs has pretty much solidified himself on this line, but Josh Norris showed that he at the very least belongs on this roster and has a valuable contribution to it. That line of Benson, Doan, and Norris were probably one of the best lines throughout this entire game, not just in terms of maybe raw statistics that you're expecting, but in terms of how they're able to physically handle the Bruins and maybe skate in certain areas where they can't keep up. Even the effort plays all the way down the ice, full 200 feet, and they are the ones winning those battles, driving the engine. It felt like that trio were the ones that were really driving everything together. But for the Sabres' intents and purposes, they can take some of those chances and they can really have some of those aggressive plays because you have so much confidence in who's right behind you. Alex Lyon was, bar none, the best goalie in this series. It looked like it was going to be Jeremy Swayman early on, and the question was going to be the Sabres versus Jeremy Swayman. And then you put Alex Lyon into the fold where he's been the one replaced, and now he's the one doing the replacing. And he did so in exceptional style. No losses in regulation, 955 save percentage, 5.8 goal save above expected, the 1.4 GAA, but keep in mind across games, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 4 straight games with a singular goal allowed in regulation. That is unbelievable no matter who is in goal. Alex Lyon is not one of those gigantic names. but he is one that is going to make himself into one because of this playoff run. And you can easily argue that Lyon has been the Sabres' most valuable player to this point of the season because he snuffed out a lot of the chances that the Bruins had. And in doing so, not just a great run by Lyon himself, an actual historic run in the context of the Buffalo Sabres as a whole. This is a franchise that had guys like Tom Barrasso, Dominic Hasek, Ryan Miller, Marty Baron, and of all playoff goalies in a 5-game stretch, Alex Lyon was the best of the bunch. 5 goals in 5 playoff games, the fewest by any Sabre in a 5-game playoff stretch in franchise history, dating all the way back to their inception in 1970. That is unreal, no matter how you put it. And when you have the confidence in the back like the Sabres have with Alex Lyon, showing that he can keep them in games and allow them to maybe take a couple extra chances because they know that even if a break comes from Boston, he's going to be able to come up to the task. And when you have this overall culmination of efforts across the entire board for the Buffalo Sabres, it allows them to produce phenomenal results. Not just beating the Bruins in 6, but doing so in a historic fashion in Sabres franchise history. This is an overview of all the droughts that the Sabres had going into the playoffs. This is prior to Game 1. The longest playoff drought we all know about. But also, they hadn't won a playoff game since the last time they appeared in the playoffs in April of 2011. They also hadn't won a series since 2007. And from 2007 to 2026, that was the longest active playoff series win drought in the NHL until today. Or as of Friday, rather, because I'm recording this on a Saturday. 4 of the longest droughts in NHL history got snapped within a month of each other. And that is so evident as to whether or not the Sabres team can do it. A lot of people, before the playoffs started, they were questioning, is the Sabres team legit? Can they hold on? Can they adapt to the style? Is the experience going to hurt them? The answer to all of it is they can, and they did. And I think it's time for a lot of the people, especially national media. Local media, do your thing. That's a whole different bag. But national media have kind of automatically written off the Sabres because of what they don't have. But how about we look at what they do have? They have physicality, they have speed, they have great goaltending, and numerically, statistically, it's all been backed up. And even going forward of what the outlook of the Sabres could be from here on out, take a look at the Buffalo sliver on the right side, the light blue one. In the entire Eastern Conference, they are the second leading favorite behind only Carolina in the probability to make and win the Stanley Cup final. And this has been the case a large portion of the season. I think a lot of people didn't expect it because of history and trends. But at the end of the day, almost every challenge that Buffalo has dealt with at any point in this series, they have found a way to, at the very least, make life difficult for the other teams. They didn't win every game in this series, but they gave Boston a scare after Game 2 when getting 2 goals in the final couple minutes. And in Game 5, they went to overtime. All of those situations, all of that time, all the learning that they did along the way, it's going to grow. Everything they know now about closing out a series, they can carry with them going into round 2. They know now how to close out a series. They know now how to play an opponent with a different skill set than them. And at the very least, in the context of the regular season, they know how to play, maybe in Montreal's case, who's still yet to play their Game 7, a team that has a very similar skill set to them. There's a lot still be left in the wings for the Buffalo Sabres, no matter how you shape it up. One thing we know about the Buffalo Sabres is they can get the job done. And they did so in very convincing fashion. I think it's time that a lot of people outside of Western New York take notice. It's something that a lot of people in the league might actually be fearful of. They might say, we don't want to play Buffalo because of their scheme, the way they play, the way they execute it, the way they can adapt on the fly. Lindy, Ruff's on the dial. These guys are cooking, and they've been able to wrap up this series in 6. Good news for them, they have at minimum 2 days of extra rest on whoever walks away from Tampa and Montreal, considering that the Sabres wrapped up on Friday and Game 7 is Sunday. At the very least, there's an automatic edge just based on 2 days worth of rest. And with Sam Carrick out of the lineup, Noah Ostlund out of the lineup, Logan Stanley didn't play in Game 6 because of illness. That gives a 2-day edge on getting those guys back. Instead of maybe someone being ready for Game 5, they're ready for Game 4 because of those 2 extra days. So on and so forth. The Sabres have put themselves in an excellent position moving forward because of what they did when they did it. And a lot of the timing has worked out in their favor. If they can continue to maximize opportunity after opportunity and maybe finally find a consistent power play that has gotten opportunities, just can't bury right now, who knows what the lengths are for this team going forward. I'm going to do a deeper dive into whoever walks away from the Atlantic 2-3, but I can say this. Buffalo, I can guarantee, has Tampa's number, and they played Montreal pretty even. And if you gave me those odds of a team that you've consistently played well against for the last 2-3 years in the Bolts, and a team that you can go toe-to-toe with any game in, and you have a huge goaltending advantage with Lyon versus Dobesh, I'll take those chances. And I think you should too. Money puck is, Vegas is. There's no reason why you shouldn't. The wagon has plenty of room. Even if it's the bandwagon. Hop on board, come along for the ride, and let's all experience some magic together. That'll do it for all of us here at Sabres Digest. Thank you so much for watching. For all things Buffalo Sabres, latest news, updates, reactions, and more, subscribe down below to Sabres Digest. I'll have more throughout the entire playoff. And feel free to leave a comment as well with your thoughts and opinions. I love to react to them and comment to them. And it actually helps me make a lot of these ideas. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. And as always, go Sabres.